let's move on to changing valve seals. Alright, what you need first, valve seals. These are umbrella type, but they're a little upgraded from the stock ones. These are silicone and they've got a little spring on the top. These were made by Engine Tech, and the number is S2806, and they come in a box of 20. You'll need the compressor tool. This is what I got. This is a KD. Probably not going to be able to see that. Maybe so. KD tool 915. So that works with the rocker shaft still on. We got a piece of pipe, and what you do with that is you need to pop the retainer a couple of times to kind of loosen up that the keeps. I've got a dead blow hammer, a little bit of assembly lube to help keep the locks, if you want to call them that, on. Here's a little magnetic screwdriver, a larger magnet just in case, and this little screwdriver here is good for just kind of popping them loose, the keepers loose. The other thing you need is a fitting to screw into the spark plug hole, and you need compressed air. So let's go ahead and we'll do one, show you how I do it. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to put you up on the tripod, so we'll be back here in a second. The first thing I do is I want to get that cylinder up the top dead center, so I put a wire in it, and I just rotate it till that piston comes up to its full travel. A little too much. There. Doesn't have to be perfect, but and then I put the bar. I want to make sure this thing doesn't turn as we're putting air pressure in it. And then I take the adapter, go ahead and put it in. Snug it up. Doesn't have to be totally tight. And then we can go ahead and put air pressure on it. Before we get started, let me make sure I mention one thing. This was covered in the last video on the engine work, but the push rods are out, and because I had to pull the push rods and lifters out, because I had to pull the cam out to get the crank gear off and adjust the in-play on the crank. So the lifters are out, push rods are out. Lifters wouldn't have to come out to use this method, but the push rods would. What you do is you back off the adjusters pretty much all the way, and then you can just slide the lifter over and pull the push rod out. So if you're going to use this method, you've got to get the push rods out. On the ends, because there's no spring, you can't slide it over. You got to pull the cotter pin out, pull the thrust washers off, pull the rocker off. So just want to make sure on that. The tool will fit right in that area, the KD tool, where the rockers are. And of course over here, with the rocker gone, it just just fits right up under there. So just want to make sure everyone understood that. And let me get you on the stand so I can show you how to do this. First thing you have to do is just loosen up the locks. Basically, this is just a piece of pipe with some duct tape on it. One thing I wanted to show you, I got duct tape on the tool also to keep from scratching up the bottom of the rail. The tool goes on like that, push down, compresses the spring. Yep, there goes one to the floor. There goes the other. Alright, 2 for 2 on dropping. Then you just pull up the spring and retainer. And that's the first one that did that. The old seal came off with the spring. They're pretty hard. Wipe off the stem. Make sure there's no trash. There's a little bit of something right there. We'll wipe that off. I like to put a little oil on the end of the stem to help slide the seal over it. Here's the new seal. It goes on fairly easy. Just be careful with it. Kind of roll it around and press it down. Make sure that's clean. There are the keepers. Hopefully you can see those against the black gloves here. We're going to go ahead and get those cleaned up, so we'll be back. We'll put the valve spring back in. Don't forget the little sheet metal piece that sits on. I always like to put a little bit of grease on these locks or keepers, help them stay where they need to when I put them on. If you have small fingers, you'll be able to do this a lot easier than I can. I've got old fat fingers, and these things are kind of slippery, and it's hard sometimes to get them in. There we go. Last thing I do is I pop it again a couple times. There. And I take a little socket and just hit on the locks themselves. Make sure they're seated down good. Look a little low. So we're going to go ahead and hit them again. Okay, and I think they're up where they need to be now. One thing I always like to do before or after I get done, get them all done and look at each of them and make sure that the keepers are all look about the same height, not sticking up more than they should be, just to make sure they're all on correctly. So that's pretty much it. I think this engine has had a valve job in the recent past, not since I've had it, but all the tips of the valves are real nice. The rockers are smooth. The rocker arms, and the valve seals weren't terrible. They were somewhat flexible, but they weren't all falling apart like some I've seen. So that's it on the valve seals. Of course, while you've got that cylinder pressurized, go ahead and do the other one. And remember the way you're going to do it. Sorry about the camera moving all around. You're going to slide the rocker over on the spring to access the rocker rail so you can get the tool in there. So same process. It's not hard. It just takes a little time. Just be clean, be careful. If you've done maintenance work before, you can do it